Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Hope you're starting off to a great week of trading. Today we're going to cover the Qs for the week of February 1st, 2021. This is Prep to Grow's recommendations and opinions based upon our big data and AI platform Grow. If you like this content, please like and subscribe, but let's just jump right into it. So what's this week look? Volatile. Last 2 weeks we flagged it was going to be volatile, and it was very volatile. This week, we expect it's going to end higher, though. There's a ton of announcements this week, at least 14 announcements this week that make up at least 11% of the total key holdings. So if they move around, you should see that the Qs are going to move around as well. These announcements are really centered around the bio-life sciences, some of the gamings, and some semi. Nothing too major, but we'll dig into that. Q1 continues to ramp. Looks great still. Fangs continue ramping. Again, 11% of the total holdings are announcing this week at least. Analysts lower Q1 expectations a little bit. I wouldn't think too much into it. They always like to adjust and do their own gaming of the market based on their analysis. So just not a big deal, just calling it out. And unemployment, Friday is a big day for unemployment. It comes out for the January unemployment rate. Manufacturing numbers come out this week as well. So it's a big kind of macroeconomic release. These are laggard indicators. We account for all this stuff in our algorithms, so we know the day of movement, not 45 days after the fact. So these are laggards, at least for high tech. And the Nasdaq-100 still booming, no slowdown. So still expected to go well. Volatile week and higher though. So let's jump into a little more details about what we're seeing. As you can see from the green line, that's kind of the baseline from last year at this time. You can see it's quite significantly higher. 3.4 was kind of our growth forecast. It's up past 4. It's about 4.5, so a whole percentage point higher than last year at this time. And these numbers were pre the dip that occurred starting in March. But certainly high growth. We're expecting growth. Analysts are expecting growth, except for that oddity of the dip, which, as you can see, there's a couple of those over the last couple of weeks. But major growth still occurring, no slowdown. Expecting the keys will continue to grow. Let's jump into the ones that are announcing it this week. So there's at least 14. Again, as you can see from them, a lot of life sciences, gaming, and some odd ones out, Qualcomm, and T-Mobile. But let's jump into some of these details around these companies. So if you're a subscriber, if you want to see who's announcing in the Qs for the next 3 weeks, all you got to do is just jump into here, select the QQQ ETF, and see who's announcing in the next 3 weeks. Hit apply, and it'll filter down the list for you. And we have 93 recommendations for the ones that are announcing over the next 3 weeks. But I'm gonna share a little bit, just talk about some of the ones that we're tracking for the week, and give you a sense of where they think we're going. So big ones: Gilead, life science. Don't know a whole lot about Gilead, been along for a long time. They're also part of the SPY Holdings and XBI. We have a pretty good success rate with them over the last 30 days. They're announcing on February 4th. The analysts are expecting a price target of 73. We're expecting a drop, near-term drop of about 7%, so down to 60. We never suggest playing earnings. It's always risky. As an example, we had a lot of Facebook last week, and we sold prior to going into the announcement, which turned out to be good because it dropped. But yeah, we don't recommend playing earnings unless you really want to take a gamble or really know that it's going to hit. So just note, we're expecting to go down 7%. Analysts expect a little bit of the direction. So we'll see what happens. Next one, let's talk about EA. Love EA, big gamer. Madden from back in the day, Command and Conquer, still play that. We're expecting a dip. Analysts expecting a slight rise, or really close to that. We're expecting about a 6% drop. we're not really great at predicting over the 30-day, better at predicting over the 5-day. They're also part of the SPY. We think it's going to pull back just because of the whole Christmas is over, PS5, Xbox have had some slower launches to it. Not a lot of new content out there, so their future projections just may slow. They may make some gaming announcements, but nothing coming in the short term that should impact it. Again, love EA. They're based in the Bay Area, up in Redwood Shores. They got a great office. Used to bike past it every day going into Oracle. Had some friends work there, like it a lot, but great company. Let's see who else. Activision, QCOM, Regeneron, and Biogen. Biogen, we invest a lot in Biogen. Pretty good predictions over the next 30 days, 20 out of 31. This is life science, Qs, SPY, and XBI. They announced on February 3rd. We're expecting a bit of a price drop. They're very close to analyst expectations. With the whole launching of the market around the big bump increase, because of AstraZeneca, because of Pfizer, because of Moderna. We think this is a little overly priced. This whole life sciences market is going to be a little bit of a pullback. So we're expecting a pullback for just about all of them that we're seeing. So Biogen, Regeneron, so on and so forth. So we're expecting that they're going to pull back. But let's look at Regeneron quickly as well. Famous for some of the precursors or the pre-COVID stuff. Part of 4 ETFs, ARC, XBI, SPY, Qs. Again, expecting these guys to pull back a bit, or quite a bit. Analysts think otherwise. They announced on February 5th. We have a good success rate with them over 30 days. So I'd put a bet more on us than the analyst over the long term, or at least within the next 30 to 60 days. Expect to pull back for Regeneron as well. I think the whole market's overheated. So again, these are just our projections. The ones that kind of have the biggest movement, Qualcomm, in terms of unusual option activity. Let's switch views into the table view so we see a little more clearly. This is for today, so there's some pre-market movement for some of these. Regeneron's got a lot of pre-market movement today. This is for our put, so the pullback's starting to happen a little bit. But if we look at a lot of pre-market or unusual option activity, QCOM for a put for June 18th at the strike price of 155. So unusual option activity there, just be aware. We've already bought it. So QCOM, unusual option activity, has the most out of anyone that's announcing for this week. So let's jump back into the rest of our forecast. So yearly forecast revenue and EPS. Again, Fang is up. Non-Fang is kind of flat. We separate this out quite a bit. Fangs make up 65% of the total Qs holdings, so we always track them more heavily than the non-Fangs because these are the movers. You can see for the year, the non-Fangs are really kind of flat. The Fangs always move up and down quite a bit, so better volatility there. Stock volume. I'm surprised by this actually for the Fangs. Not a lot of stock volume. Quite a flat for the year. Coming into Q1, you would expect that there's more volume, especially with all the growth projections. So flat growth. Non-Fangs, you'd expect it to be a little more flat. So no surprise there. Predicted stock price. Fangs, still projecting an increase, not as rapid as we saw 2 weeks ago, but still on the upward trajectory and much higher than it was last year at this time. So 254 versus 328. Non-Fang, flat still. Right, they're just the movers. Sorry, not the movers. They're just the ones that do good work, but not a lot of volatility. 30-day particular long option volume, pretty high volume for long options. So a lot of puts, a lot of calls, not too much. This is day over day. So non-Fangs, there's a lot of call volume, more so than usual for long, way more. So I'd look into that. For Fangs, I don't know, pretty standard. A lot of people like to bet against the Fangs. And we have a lot of predictions for puts just because the market seems a little bit over high for certain Fangs that we saw going into the quarterly announcements. Predicted bull, a bear versus bull. Fangs, see slight kind of mid-road for calls. Slight dip in puts, which is great, especially since the Q1 projections. So that's one of the reasons why we're also saying it's going to be higher this week than this week, because we start to see a dip within these puts, which is a good sign for how we think we're going to have weekend. Last 2 weeks, seen a lot of volatility as it bounces around a little bit between the Fangs and non-Fangs. But again, 14 announcements this week, 11% plus of the total Qs holding announcing this week. Major macroeconomic news this week coming out, especially the unemployment. So volatile week we expect, but again, expectation is that it'll end the week higher. If you like this content, please like or subscribe. Appreciate your time and hope you have a great day of trading. Take care.